to In the Pursuit of Being Wild and Free. So, welcome to episode 2. And this episode, we're going to dive into what I kind of mentioned in my first episode, which is you're truly never alone. So, welcome for Ticket for One. The word solo gets sometimes a bad rap in the sense of just like 10, 15 years ago, we were taught not to go into cars by ourselves. Don't talk to strangers. Don't do anything on our own because we need somebody. We need a buddy. We want to make sure we're safe and sound. Now we get into cars by ourselves. Thanks to Uber and Lyft, we do talk to people. Hello to Instagram and Facebook and Bumble and Tinder and all that stuff. And so we get so bombarded by different titles, different things that we're told as people, right? We're a sister, we're a mom, we're a friend, we're a colleague. We are too much, too little, too sensitive, too blunt, too classy, too promiscuous, too fill in the fucking blank at this point, right? But when was the last time you sat with yourself and talked to yourself? Yeah, I said it. Talk to yourself. When I first started to travel, I traveled for one reason. I had no one to travel with, and I just didn't want to wait anymore. I wanted to travel and see the world. Second reason I traveled, after I got that out of my system, was to escape my life. I wanted to escape DC and these so-called friends and family. I just want to escape who I was, what I was told to be, that I wasn't good enough. I'm this, I'm that. You won't be successful. I just wanted to escape my life. And now when I travel, I get to meet my person, and that person is me. And this was a great example. Like I said, I was camping in West Virginia for my birthday, and it was the first time I've ever really wanted to cancel my birthday. And between personal stuff, life stuff, stuff in general, I just kind of lost myself. And I just need to kind of get back to myself. And so reluctantly, but gratefully, went to West Virginia, and I danced by a fire right by the Potomac River and just let loose. And that kind of reminded me 6 years ago when I did that big road trip that I mentioned on my website, Wandering Bell. If you're new to here, Wandering Bell is my solo travel community that I share tips and tricks, life lessons, travel lessons, inspiring other people to travel, as well as getting guest writers. And I talk about this trip, this heartbreak road trip, right? And then 6 months later, for my birthday, I went back to Utah, but I went to the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone. And I was still processing this silly heartbreak as now I think about it. And I just remember sitting at a fire and just started to talk to myself. Like, who am I? What am I? What do I like? What don't I like? What's wrong with me? What's good about me? What is this? What is that? And I just sat there because for the longest time, like I mentioned, the second version of me traveling was always escaping my life, right? I had old colleagues made fun of me for this phrase, but I did hear it from, I forget what movie. Is vacation, right? I never use the word vacation because I just don't like it. I like the more British, fun way of saying I'm going on a holiday, right? So you always hear me say holiday. But somewhere, again, don't remember what movie it was from, but they were saying vacation is to vacate one life. And that has always struck a nerve and stayed with my brain. Even though my old coworkers used to make fun of me and took it to a dark, twisty way. But hopefully you're still following along right now. And that's what I always did. I always vacated my current life. And I've always said that I have this travel persona where the most magical shit always happens, or the craziest shit that always happens when I'm traveling. I either meet some most amazing people or crazy stories like I was detained coming back to my own country, or like the cannonball, like in the last episode I was telling you about. But I've always had this persona, this freeness, this intuition of I know what the hell I'm doing. I can predict something before it even happens. And that is because I sat down with myself and really talk. And sadly, I don't always do that in my everyday life. I go on these, I call them nature timeouts. It's like when we were kids, when we used to get so rambunctious and we got ourselves into trouble and our parents put us in timeout. I put myself in timeout in nature. And there's something about obviously different perspective, putting yourself in a different situation. It opens up your mind. It helps you kind of figure out stuff, right? And I don't do that enough in my life. But after a while of escaping my life and seeing these most amazing places, and I fell kind of in love with the girl who comes out on the trip. She's more playful, more adventurous, more pushing, less type A on the contrary belief of things, especially those who have traveled with me who do not like it. This is why I'm much better without traveling with people. But she's more trusting, more lively and free. She's free. And that's what I found out is when I am by myself traveling, I am not by myself. I am a human too. And I always tell people this, and I've wrote about this, that when you're traveling, you're not by yourself. You are a person. You're more than just a title or a name or a feeling or fill in the blank, right? You're more than a sister. You're more than a brother. You're more than being a two sense of human being. You're more than just being a crazy person. You're more than that because you are just be. And the more you get to know yourself, the more you see yourself as a person, the more you can have that solid foundation. And I noticed that, like I said, when I'm back in my everyday life, that girl does not come out as much. And when she does, ooh, sorry to those who have experienced her, but not because she is feisty. She knows what she wants. And she's just tired of all this outside noise. And I think you can kind of relate to that. Think about a time that you went out as a solo traveler to my intermediate and advanced solo people. When you just sat down, whether in front of a big, gigantic ocean or a mountain or in a forest, or maybe you're that type of solo traveler who likes a luxury 5-star resort. When was the last time you talked to yourself and have that little voice, that little intuition, that, hey, I'm here, please listen to me? Think of that time. Think about what that person said to you. I remember my first time, it was this quiet little voice that pretty much said, hey, I'm here, please just listen. And actually, I didn't. Not the first time, not the second time. Maybe by the 20th time, I kind of said, okay, what do you want? Because I do get jaded. And I think we get jaded in our everyday lives because we're told what to do, what to be, how to act, how everything. Like I always tell people, we date every single person in the world every day. We date our bosses. We date during a job interview. We dating general. We always ask other people, who are you? What do you like? Are you a good fit in my life? But what about asking yourself about if this is a good fit in your own life? It sounds cheesy, but at the end of the day, It reminds me actually of the Ted Lasso moment. I can't Keely, and please forgive me, I can't think of the names right now. Keely and her boyfriend, the grouchy guy. I can't think of his name. But Keely and him went on a double date, and again, I can't remember the main character either. I'm terrible at this. But she goes like, "Guys, what do you think about him?" And Keely goes, "He's perfect on paper, blah, 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 blah." And the guy goes pretty much like, "Who the fuck cares what we think? How does he make you feel? How do you, like, do you want him in his life? Who cares about resumes? Who cares about this?" And that just brings me back to the notion of, what do I actually want? What do I want as a person? What do I need as a person? And it just, every single time when I travel, whether it's overseas, domestically, or even just a day trip somewhere, that spark, that wandering bell comes out. And it makes me pause to the point I'm like, maybe I should just be solo forever. But at the end of the day, I'm not solo. I have myself. And so, a couple of takeaways I want you to think is, how can you be a better person? Not only a traveler, we can always be better travelers. Leave no trace, be good to others, help others out, and all that stuff, right? 100%. But how can we be better? How can we reclaim ourselves, right? When you have that moment of, who the fuck am I? And what the fuck am I doing? It's because we're pushed to a point, because traveling pushes you to that point. It challenges your mindset, your physicality, your spirit, your physicalness, your emotionalness. It challenges you because it makes you stop and wonder, is this actually the life I want to live? And a lot of us, the more you do solo traveling, the more you start to ponder, because every single time I come home from a trip, I look around my apartment and say, I want to get rid of everything. I'm done. I want to sell everything and just move. But for those who are starting out solo traveling, you might not get to this point on your first 1 or 2 or 5 trips. It took me a while to get to this point. So when you're trying to figure out on your first couple trips, who am I? If you have that question, think about how you can build trust, how you can build that stronger foundation. Right? A lot of people are so scared, and I was one of them, to go and sit by yourself, because I didn't want to talk about my demons. I didn't want to ask, hey, Belinda, how do you feel about this? I handled that situation really shitty. I don't want to talk about it. I already know. I don't want to bring it back up again. But we have to sit with ourselves. We have to sit with the good, the bad, the ugly, and the isness. Because the more we sit with ourselves and build that trust and build that foundation, then the next time we won't do that thing again. Or the next time someone comes after us or complains or whatever about us, you'd be like, okay, you know what? That's on you. That's not on me. I know who I am. Yes, I can be like A, B, and C, but that is who I am. And learning that intuition when to speak and when to walk away. I've had friends and people in my life who needs a lot more solo traveling, to be quite bluntly honest, who needs to grow up a little bit more. And I'm saying that with love, because the amount of hate, the amount of hurt they're through shows it in text messages and shows it in a way that it's just needs to be healed. And I think people are scared to travel, not because you're going to get kidnapped and get killed. Yes, again, I'll get into a whole different podcast about true crime, but it's because people don't want to sit down with themselves. Or they do very surface level. But I'm telling you right now, it's being by yourself and screaming and yelling and facing everything. It gives you so much power and freedom that no one can take away from you, including yourself. And the more you sit down with yourself, the more of a healthy relationship you will have with yourself, but also gaining that intuition. I always tell my friends that when I travel by myself, and let me know in the comments too, if you feel like this. When you are traveling by myself, my more advanced and intermediate solo travelers, you have this sense of freedom and intuition that if you're walking down the street, you're going to make a left. You don't know why, but you're going to make a left. And you're walking down the street, nope, not going to make a left this time. I might make a right because you have that innateness. I remember when I was driving in Yellowstone and I was camping in Grand Teton and I did a day trip up to Yellowstone and it was snowing. It was like late May. It was snowing. So I made sure my speed was under. I think the speed limit was 35. And a voice came out of nowhere that says, lower your speed. So the speed limit was 35. I was doing 25. And I'm like, no one's out right now. And I turned a right and then Yellowstone Lake was on to my right and the woods were to my left. And a voice just came over again, slow down and then look both ways. And I'm like, well, this is crazy. It's like 7:30 in the morning at this point. I'm like, I know coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but come on now. So there I am looking right, looking left, doing between 15 and 20 miles per hour. All of a sudden, I looked to my left. After I looked towards the lake, a gigantic wolf came and sprinted right in front of my car. I slammed on my brakes, missed him or her. I was the only vehicle on the road. And I just looked and it disappeared. Again, that voice just came out of nowhere. And it's because I don't want to say trained myself, but I've accepted to listen to my intuition. And as I was trying to say earlier, I tell my friends all the time in my everyday life, my intuition is there. It's there, but I don't listen to it because I have all these competing thoughts and opinions and blah, 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 blah. But the moment I am solo, the moment I'm away from everybody, and including my everyday life, that's when everything kicks on to high gear. That intuition, knowing what to do next, what not to do next, just comes on so fast. And I'm still trying to practice of listening to that voice in my everyday life, which sometimes does not work because I still keep dismissing it again. All these little voices and opinions and thoughts and feelings and all that good stuff. But with this story, I wanted to give you a little homework assignment. I think at the end of every podcast, I want you to kind of do a little assignment is find a time. Could be 10 minutes, could be an hour, could be a day, but find some time for you to either go on a nature timeout, sit in the sunshine, just go somewhere with no people and sit with yourself and introduce yourself and ask, what is your name? Crazy, weird, I know, but just do it. And then ask yourself, if I wasn't trying to make anyone happy or proud today, except for me, the person who I don't talk to, what would you want? Simple, but yet hard concept. And I want you to meet that person, your person, somewhere underneath all your many, many, many titles and thoughts and feelings and do something for them. And let me know how that goes. Because honestly, the only person, and this is not trying to sound survivalist here, but you need to build that trust with you because at the end of the day, it's only you, babe. It's only you and yourself. And you should deserve to be that person that you trust in the most in the world and have a better relationship. And I'm not even saying you need to have a better relationship with yourself to have better relationships with other people. That's a given. We're really good at giving our time, our energy, our money, our resources to have all types of fucking relationships with other people, but we don't give that same space. So that is your homework assignment. Find your space and get to know yourself. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And like I always say, let's go on an adventure, shall we? And discover who you're supposed to be along the way. Have a good night.